Hey guys, this is Kirob speaking, and in today's Little Dev Update we're going to talk about the contents of the demo update 2 that has just gone live and is playable to all of you. So this, as a quick disclaimer of course, is the developer version with everything unlocked. You won't be seeing some of the content that is on display here. But let's jump into it and see what has changed since last week. I'm probably not going to cover it all, that is what the changelog is for, but a few highlights. So let's jump in here and just generate a tour. This one is looking fancy because it has two specials right at the start, and that is great because that's something that I want to show. So we do have our riders here with some changes to the balance and more tools for me to actually balance them with a more fine tune than before. Because these steps naturally, because there are few levels to gain and the point jumps are quite quantized and large, are of course making it difficult to balance. But what I have done here is devised something that is making balancing easier. Matt has implemented that we are now assigning to some of the specials, like for instance, take flat for instance. I'm not so sure if it actually needs a boost or not, probably not, but it serves as an example. You'll remember that when you selected sprint, you would be getting additional attack points. 2 per level to be exact. That is still the case, but now time trial gives you not only 2 per level, but 3 per level. So that is quite powerful. I'm not sure if the last level really needs another +3, because that is getting quite powerful indeed. But flat, for instance, now has bonus energy, 2 per level. So that's not that massive. Attack, of course, is more valuable than energy. And tech and cobble, which was a little underpowered, I would say, before, does get 3 energy per level of its specialization. So even if you set it to 84, but you're a level 3 tech cobble rider, you have 93 energy. So that's quite something. And of course you can top it off with a level in flat to get 95 despite only having set it to 84. So effectively like gaining 2 attribute points to spend on energy. And by no means am I claiming that this is now all balanced, but it does give me the tools to very finely tune what is what you get when you have a certain level of specialization. And they don't have to progress linearly either. I can just say how much I want from each level. And now that it is so nicely general in its implementation, I can just go and change a number in a file and we get the results that we want. So that's great. So the current setup is that flat gains a little bit of energy, mountain and downhill don't gain anything, sprint does gain a little bit of attack, 2 per specialization, tech cobble 3 of energy per specialization, and time trial 3 of attack per specialization point. Alright, but now let's head into the race and see what this is, what has changed in there, because there are quite a few things. First thing you probably notice already is there's this red line at the start there, and that is actually the time limit. We have now implemented time limit, which is not yet enforced, but that is going to be done over the course of the next week, like this coming week. So for the next patch you will have an enforced time limit in there, but it already moves along and you can see where it is and how fast it is moving and so on. So you have a live update of where the time limit is in comparison to where you are. And of course time limit is put in there because otherwise you can just exploit really hard the fact that you can just recover energy. You're basically at the end full energy by just making moves of 1 for riders where you don't care if they lose time or not. That, of course, is not possible in real life, and it shouldn't be possible in the game either. It doesn't make for good gameplay. So yeah, that's not something that we want to have in there. That's why time limit is coming in, and that can be easily tweaked with how quick it is, and probably how quick it is will depend on which league you are playing in, amateur or pro. So let's take a look. We do have a rider here. He can go there, and this guy is going to attack out. Looking good, and we don't care about either of you. So here's one thing that has now been added. It's a little fortunate that I ran into it straight away, but usually you wouldn't be able to make this move. So we have added a little rule that makes exploiting the peloton mechanics more or less impossible at the moment, at least in its intended way. So usually a relay rider who is attacking from behind you, or attacking in air quotes, because relay riders don't really attack, they just power through. Usually a relay rider that uses attack points in his move and moves past you doesn't get a catch-up option, or you don't get a catch-up option to that rider, because he has used attack points. We have made an exception for this rule, specifically for the peloton, because we want to keep the peloton structure intact as much as possible, and make possible that riders can do very strong lead-outs as well. And as you can see here, we do get a catch-up option despite this obviously requiring attack points. So yes, we can follow him then, and this move was made with attack points, as you see there. And now we are just on his wheel. So yes, attacking is supposed to happen from P1 or from the group. In normal groups, this is not a thing. So in normal groups, if you're in the relay and attack, the others can't just follow. The thinking there is the following. I think you will agree that it's pretty realistic. If someone from behind you in the relay of the peloton all of a sudden starts going hard and everyone follows him, well, there's a bulk of riders behind that all will give you lots and lots and lots of slipstream, and before you've fallen back more than 10 meters, you're already in that nice slipstream and you can just ride along. If that happens in a group, you're off the back and you can't react properly because everyone else has too much momentum going. So then you're out in the wind and you can't just follow this wheel. So this is why we are choosing to, or this is how we choose to explain the situation. Alright, now we are in a situation on the next turn where, oh, well, look at that, 2 new things on screen. We are on this little downhill section, and there is a climb coming up. But not only that, well, we have the scoreboard showing here, live, updating, which is quite handy. It automatically pops up. You can close it if you want to, but then reopen it when you just click on the special. And what you see here is that this was a big move that they made, and you might not be aware that there was a big move, but now we have this little indicator there that shows, oh, there was a move made that is off screen, and its color indicates what type of move it was. In this case, an attack move. So now you won't be missing those situations anymore where there was a massive move all of a sudden made off screen, catching you off guard, and you just move along like nothing happened. Now this thing is popping up and telling you, look mate, there's something going on there, it was a big move. If this one is off screen with just a normal move, then a normal move like just using energy, then this one would be energy blue instead. So quite handy that. But now let's talk about this leaderboard thing, because we do have he has the option to follow along there, so let's do that. If that is a 8-6 move, that's big. We can't really sprint anymore, but you see that it does live update the positioning. So there we are. This is Leo Sanz, and we are moving up. There we go. Boop, boop, boop. So overall, quite handy that, and this is going to pop up everywhere when you are getting close to passing these automatically, but also for the finish. So you have the live leaderboard and timing as you are participating in the sprint. So no longer are you poking in the dark, like what position am I going to cross if I sprint to the front here? Well, it live updates the leaderboard as you cross the line. So very very much needed to clarify what is going on in sprints and just for point gaining and so on. So this is good, this is all good and very useful. And one more thing that you see here in that regard is that these riders now have their little fields filled for leader jersey and mountain jersey and sprint jersey. And the leader jersey gives you the time differential to the leader. We're on the first stage of a stage race, so that will be always 0. And we have grabbed no points yet. And these show the total number of points you have had at the start of the stage. And this is something else that you have seen here now, which is quite interesting. The peloton wasn't actually able to follow this move. That's a big new thing. The peloton is its own rider. It now has a maximum movement distance that it can do, and it will be checking that distance at a slipstream of Peloton 2. So it is a decent rider, not great at all, but always gets that beautiful slipstream. So it's a 7-4 rider, and he gets the P2 slipstream, and he has infinite energy and infinite attack, but not infinite energy per turn or attack per turn. So that is the movement limitation that we put on here. So this, just nuking this hill with the -5 penalty to slipstream, was not a thing that rider was able to do. So the peloton was moving short, and you will see that by when you hover over the nodes while you're in the relay, you see that the peloton target node is not moving along with you. So as you would expect, you can thusly basically have the peloton no longer in the situation where they are going super hard up a mountain and they are just left with the favorites. So imagine from a real life point of view that there's just Pogačar and Adam Yates fighting it out at the front and 120 riders of the peloton right behind them, while all the other riders are like way left behind in the autobus. That is not something that happens, and this mechanic makes sure that this situation doesn't occur. Alright, let's have a look where the time limit has come to. Well, not that far. They are not optimizing any of their moves and just moving straight through, and that is always at free movement +1 or +2, depending on which class of the race it is, amateur or pro. That of course can be tweaked, and we shall see if the time limit is too harsh or probably not harsh enough. Another thing that has been added that is quite important is when you feel lost, like where am I supposed to be moving from? Well, we now have an additional marker on screen that is showing you, well, 9 nodes this way, son, that is where you are, or the other way, of course, when it's there. So just in general, giving you a better overview. One last thing I want to touch on is that the AI was doing really weird things in the tours, and I think largely that was down to something that we now have fixed. We found out that the AI roles were basically randomly assigned instead of actually using the calculation results they are relying upon. And, well, that was not great, which meant that you probably have seen some weird stuff, like one of the race favorites always being an escapee, like going out in yellow and just crushing everyone. That is, of course, not how it's supposed to go, and it wasn't supposed to go like this even in this early version. It was just that the role selection was broken and the favorite was assigned a random role. Alright, I think that should be it for today. That's a nice little list of changes and improvements and just feature additions in general for a week's worth of work. And we are going to have 2 more weeks of demo polishing up and this kind of stuff that we are doing right now. This next week is focused on just very general things, and the one thereafter mostly has a focus on AI. And whenever you want to see what roughly the timeline is, or quite precisely actually the timeline is, then check out the development outlook video that I've posted on this channel previously. Alright, hope you enjoyed, and see you guys next time.